first 1 year?
I'll give him 8 over 10.
8 over 10. Yeah. Okay. Let me, Kofi.
4 out of 10.
Okay. And then Dr. Azigio.
Well, I think looking at what they promise and then looking at the situation now, I think that I'm tempted to go with the 8.
You're tempted to go with
Yeah, because I do remember, I think after some few months, I was asked and I said that it was around 81, 82. I don't have anything that will make me come down from that. Yeah, I'm not charitable with giving marks, but looking at the performance, I think that
okay.
8 is
okay, all right. And I want to try, I'll just leave you out of it.
I mean, I think that in the academia,
yeah.
So between 7 and 8, I think I would say, looking at what is happening.
What influenced this 8? Now we'll move to the assessment of his governance over. Doctor, I'm coming to Dr. Anabai, if I come to you, Kofi. Yes.
Right, thank you very much. I think we came with a manifesto and made certain promises. The most important one, I would say, was that we're going to fight corruption. We said we're going to make sure the economy improved. We spoke about health sector, we spoke about education, and then we also spoke about security. If we look at the health sector, for instance, a lot has been done. If we look at the health sector, for instance, a lot has been done. Most important of them all is that the policy to at least come down when we come, that money was capped. It was denying hospitals, service providers, money for people, for patients they attended to. He came and uncapped it. And now we have enough resources for the National Health Insurance to provide care for people to go to hospital, use their health insurance card, and then the provider is paid within time. I think in the history of the country for the past 10 years, National Health Insurance has never been up to date with payment. But
I will have to cut you in here. Let's see if I quickly finish up with Mr. Dankwa.
Right.
Mr. Dankwa, good morning once again. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Sorry for the interruption. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. You were explaining what influenced that public opinion of a 7.
Yes. What I was saying was that there are key metrics that are driving the way people are rating the president. And I will start with their views on the direction of the country. Now, if you look at the views on the direction of the country, now, if you look at the data we published in terms of Ghanaians' view on where the country is, compared to 24%, and 10% said they have no opinion. So if a country is perceived to be heading in the right direction, the credit normally goes to the driver, who is the president. Then you look at the data on performance of the government as a whole. In fact, the government as a whole is rated very good or good 50%, and excellent 22%. So between excellent and very good or good, it is 72%. Only 70% rate the government very poor or poor. Then another matrix you must look at is people's standard of living. We asked them to compare their standard of living today compared to 12 months ago. 56% said it has improved, but 27% said it has not changed. And 12% said it's actually gotten worse for them. And 5% didn't have an opinion. We did ask them about their optimism for the future. A year from now, are they optimistic that things would improve? 70% said yes, they are optimistic that things will improve. And 12% did not have an opinion. On the issue of fighting corruption, or state of corruption in the country today, 56% of Ghanaians are saying that corruption levels has improved. But 20% are saying that it hasn't changed. It's the same old, same old. And then 17% said it's gotten worse. But 8% didn't have an opinion. And then we asked them whether they believe that the government is doing enough in fighting corruption. 60% said yes, they believe the government is doing enough in fighting corruption. But 28% said no, the government is not doing enough in fighting corruption. And 12% did not have an opinion. So when you aggregate all this sentiment, it translates into the rating of what you saw they giving Mahama. In terms of giving him 67% approval compared to 24% disapproval. So if I'm scoring him, I'm going to score him on the basis of this public opinion.
Okay. You talked about those who said that they believe the country is moving towards the right direction. That's around 67%, right?
66%.
66%, yes. And then the government performance, it's around 72%.
Yes.
All right. How do we explain in there? So the argument is that at least if the country is moving towards the right direction, there should be some close or near close numbers between the right direction movement and the performance of the government. Because if it's moving towards the right direction, it's based on that performance that is moving towards the right direction. So how come we have a 66 and then a 72?
Oh, look, there are people who may not have opinion, and those numbers would differ. If you look at the data, always the direction of the country correlates with the approval of the president. When the president is doing bad, people will be seeing the country as heading in the wrong direction. If you look at the data we have from last year, you can see that when people were saying wrong direction, now there was disapproved by a high percentage. It's not the differences that matter, but whether they are moving in the same direction that matters.
But how they are moving in the same direction that matters?
Yes, not the difference between approval and the direction of the country. Those certainly there'll be differences, but not everybody. Look, when it comes to the direction of the country, it's a bigger issue than the performance of the president. There is more or wrong. But with the president, somebody can just judge him based on just few things.
All right, and with these numbers that you put together in terms of the public opinion, is this something that cuts across the entire 16 regions?
Yes, in fact, if you look at the numbers across the various regions, let me look at all the 16 regions. In Ahafo region, 60% approve of his performance, 22 disapprove. In the Ashanti region, 46 approve, 41 disapprove. In Bono, 57 approve, 28 disapprove. In Bono East, 68 approve, 25 disapprove. Greater Accra, 69% approve, 21 disapprove. Northeast region, 71% approve, 24 disapprove. Northern region, 15 disapprove. In Savannah region, 85 approve, 11 disapprove. Upper East, 60 approve, 33 disapprove. In Upper West, 82 approve, 14 disapprove. Voter region, 80 approve, 20 disapprove. Western region, 61 approve, 21 disapprove. Western North, 72 approve, 18 disapprove.
Okay, all right. With that of the Ashanti region, knowing very well where that region stands during our elections, does it come to you as a surprise in terms of the numbers, the 46 approval rate to about 41 disapproval rate?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't for me because if you look at the party affiliation, you have seen, or we have seen, observed that a number of voters in Ashanti region have now moved to become floating voters. When they are moved from MPP to floating voters, they soften their stance when it comes to this kind of
floating voters.
We don't ask the question why. I think it's for the political parties themselves to go and do their own homework. But you could see the issue of how the party is perceived generally across the country, not just in the Ashanti region, across the country. We've seen NDC now become almost 41% of Ghanaians when you openly ask them which party they support. They say NDC, 41%. MPP used to be 37% before the last election. They are now 26%. They've declined from 37 to 26%. And that has happened across every region.
Okay, all right. And let's look at age here. Did that also influence in any way, the age brackets in there?
Look, if you look at the political party affiliation by age, and mostly they tend to vote along that line. For people who are 18 to 24 years, 42% of them say now they belong to NDC. 22 belong to MPP, and 19% are floating voters. 14% will not disclose their party affiliation, and 4% support other parties. For people who are between 25 and 34, 40% is NDC, 25 is MPP, and 22 are floating voters. When it comes to those between 35 and 44, 40% NDC, 29 MPP, and 18% floating voters. People who are between 55 and 64, MPP is 31, NDC 36, floating voters 17%. And those who are above 65, NDC is 40%, MPP 28, and floating voters 9%. So across all demographic age, MPP is trailing.
All right. You've been doing this work for some time now. Looking at the figures and what's the approval rate of the president that presently happening in here, especially with how it cuts across.
Unfortunately, before we came into existence, nobody was doing this work. So we can't compare to say that, oh, it's different from what Nado experienced when he came to power, or when Kufuor came to power, or when Mills came to power. Nobody had got the data to give us specific data until we came in. We started building this data over 2022, and we are continuing. What we can see, July went to 73%, and then in October, it came down to 67 and still 67. So he's still doing above his polling numbers when he first came in.
Within this particular conversation?
I mean, we've done so much in terms of the public opinion. There are things that we normally seek public opinion on when it comes out. And we took into account, for example, the issue of Professor H. Prempeh Commission that came out with some recommendations in terms of some amendments we made to the Constitution. In fact, the report came, I think, around 24th, and a day or two after, we went to the field to pick public opinion. And that is also in the report we released this time around. Now, what I can say on that is that, look, there is broader support for some of the reforms that has been proposed by the Commission. For example, in terms of increasing the term of president from 4 to 5 years, you have 50% of Ghanaian voters supporting that proposal, but 36% oppose that proposal.
Okay.
When you come to issue about amending the Constitution to allow, to prevent MPs from becoming ministers, that receives 58% support, but 32% oppose that recommendation. And then on the issue of MMC elections, a big majority, about 6-3, approve it, and 28 is approved. And then when you come to the issue of 30-year limit of age group for president, that too is backed by about 56%, 5-6, and 34% oppose it.
Okay.
But on death sentence, it is 59% support the abolition of death sentence and 25% oppose it.
Okay. Are the members of parliament?
Yes, in fact, if you look at, let's look at it from this angle. If you look at, I think, 1 second, let me just look at the data, and that will apply to all MPs. We asked voters to tell us how they feel about their MPs' performance. Let me just see if I can quickly see that data. Okay, performance, government performance, MPs, yes. About 48% of Ghanaian voters rate their MPs as very good or good. But 60% rate them excellent. So if you add the excellent and the very good, that gives you quite a lot of, about 72% or so believe that the MPs have done very well. Average performance for MPs about 13%, and very poor or poor is about 23%. So the MPs are equally enjoying a very good rating. And that also manifests in the data about who do you perceive to be least or most corrupt public institution. Members of Parliament are rating very high as we speak to you. In fact, the top, they are number 5 from the top in terms of how people see them as now least corrupt.
And I mean, what about the majority, minority side, MPs?
We didn't do that kind of comparison. We don't want to be a bit pedestrian when it comes to this assessment. We want it to be broader rather than specific to NDC and MPP.
Okay, so Dankwa, we'll leave our conversation here. Thank you very much. And I'll turn to my guests here in the studio, and we will come to you when the need arises again. Dr. Naba,
yes,
you were actually speaking before we went to
right.
Mr. Dankwa. At least he's given us an insight of whatever is happening, opinion polls and what people are saying, the approval rate of the president and the performance of the government too. You're explaining things to us concerning the economy. Yes.
Right. So I was talking about the health sector, the improvements that we have seen in the health sector due to the uncapping of the national health insurance levies that we collect. That is sent directly to the national health insurance. We've also seen that at least nurses who were employed and didn't have work at the beginning of the tenure of John Mahama, the first year, there was a lot of upheaval. They have been roped in and they have now been paid. So we think that employment side of the health sector has been settled, despite the fact that we have a lot of nurses and other health workers at home. I think that one has been worked on very well. And hospitals are now able to procure items and work very well to provide the needed services to their clients. When you look at the educational sector, you've also seen that the major problem that MPP faced during their tenure was the school feeding and the free senior high school. That was a major problem all the time. We had this red, gold, green the school attendance that is actually being worked to be eliminated. Feeding has now been resolved. We've now have dedicated funding from the GET Fund because GET Fund has equally been uncapped. So all money coming in are now moving to the schools for feeding, expansion of schools, and then the rest. So I think that in the educational sector, John Mahama is doing very well. Even at the university, all first-year students who entered any university in Ghana, their fees were being paid so that they don't have the hassle of deferring their courses because they did not have money. So that is a good work that he's doing there. Also, teachers have also been employed, increasing the numbers of teachers in the country. And new universities are going to be built, and that is in the budget that we read for this year. When you go to the economy, I think I'm not an economist, but as somebody who does business, I've seen that at least the value of my currency that I make is stable. When I get my salary, I don't think that tomorrow price will go up and I can't buy what I intend to buy. And if I'm going to import items, I use lesser amount to import the items I used to import, making the currency very stable, making the interest rate very stable. With prudent spending, I think the economy has been stabilized in a way that businessmen in the country are enjoying it. And even the scrubbing up of certain levies, certain taxes, and also the harmonization of the VAT is bringing some relief to business people. So the value you had for a CD 2 years ago is not the same thing you have now. The amount that you paid for a bank for taking a loan to do your business is not the same thing that you are paying now, because that was one of the main challenges Ghanaian traders in Abusokan had with their Nigerian counterparts, where the Nigerian counterparts get very low interest rate for their loans to go and do business, and they get it at a high rate. And when they come to sell the same products, they have challenges with the pricing. And I think with the dollar now being stabilized and the CD getting stable and even gaining more strength, at least traders will now benefit.
But it has not reduced the interest rate, has it?
The interest rate in Ghana has reduced. Yes, we have moved from double digit to single digit. So what are we talking about? We have to be very happy about what is happening. When you come to security, I think security in the country has been calm, except for dotted areas that, including my own Kosase traditional area, which is Boku, that I think the government has done extremely well to get a non-biased person to go into it to bring about stability in the country. At least Boku is now getting calm. The other areas that got engulfed at the beginning of everything, like the Bole area, is now getting calm. What I would like to say is that security, without proper security, we cannot live in a very peaceful country. And I think government has been focusing so much on security to ensure that there is peace in the country. And I'll urge everybody in my community, that is Garu, Boku, Pusiga, Bindure, and the rest, to embrace the peace, the recommendations made by Otunfo to ensure that peace comes to Ghana so that we don't spend so much money on delving into keep maintaining peace. I'll move to another sector, which is agriculture.
Okay.
We had planting for food that existed in Ghana. It was meant to produce food and reduce what? Unemployment. We knew of what happened. We heard of what happened. Fertilizers being stolen, inputs being diverted, and then the rest. That caused production to reduce. And even employment in the agri sector had even reduced. And what was worst of it is that a whole party chairman took money to run a 100,000 farm, 100,000 hectare farm, to employ people, squandered that money. And I always make that comparison. If he had devolved that farm, 100,000 acres of land, employing just 1 person per acre, would have had 100,000 youth employed only in his projects. That would have brought the unemployment rate low. I think even all those who are involved in Galamsey could have worked in his farm, and Galamsey wouldn't have taken place. So I think that with this government, we haven't made any promise or any slogan about farming except feed Ghana. But fertilizers got to farmers, input got to farmers, and they were able to plow, produce, and now we have a bumper harvest, which people are complaining that they are not even getting money for what they produce. But I prefer to have a bumper harvest and a low cost of buying produce than having scarce resources and buying them at a higher price. So we have to agree for one. And that is where I think that government is doing very well, subsidizing fertilizer, making sure farmers produce enough for us to get enough food in our homes. And in that way, once food prices are going down, it is one of the things that affect our inflation in the country, because the food basket are a lot into it. Once food prices are going down, inflation will definitely go down. In that way, Ghana become a little bit better and stable for us. With a good currency, managed by a good finance minister, a good governor of the Bank of Ghana, I think the fiscal policies, together with the monetary policies, are good, because the fiscal policy, we know how the government has decided to spend prudently. One, government has decided to reduce the number of ministers employed. This has given us a lot of resources to put into other places to improve the economy.
But how efficient has that been?
It has been efficient. If it is not efficient, all the macro indicators and the happiness level, the acceptance level of the people in Ghana would have been negative. But Musa Dankwa just told us, 60-something% are happy with the government. It means that the way he has reduced the management of the economy with very lean, with, let me say, a micro ministers, compared to the 120-something ministers the former president has, it means that he's saving us virtually half of the money that he would have used to attend to ministers and investing that into other things. And one important thing is, since we've come, besides these gold board issues that they are speaking, point to me and compare with the previous government. What corruption allegation have you heard in this country?
When you say beside gold board?
Besides gold board that they are alleging.
Oh, okay.
They are alleging, which they can't prove.
We wrap up. Let me go to Kofi.
Which they can't prove. Besides that, and definitely we know why the gold board has its own problems. There isn't any corruption allegation against any person within the NDC right now that they can stand on. That is what we want, because we spoke about corruption, and use corruption as a campaign slogan to come to power. And we are demonstrating it. All those who have been involved in corruption issues, they are being investigated.
Okay.
Some are returning monies, some are begging for a plea bargain, and some are in court with the government.
Right.
And I hope that with this, I would say the government is doing fairly very well. The government is transparent, the government is honest, and the economy is picking up. Let's all just pray.
4 out of 10.
Yes, and I'm coming to give the reasons why. You know, Ghanaians always give first years of governments honeymoon period.
The first years.
The first years. Yeah, this is normal. You ask Musa Dankwa, and unfortunately, he didn't have the data to do the comparison. But I don't remember any government in this fourth Republican era not having high rating, you know, in the government.
About 50%.
Yes, we don't even have figures to
The
compare.
data to compare that.
You know, but so it is very normal, because people even agree with the Constitutional Review Committee when they suggest the 5-year period. Because President Kufuor and other former presidents have even said the first year is like non-score. You come in and before you realize the first year is gone. Because sometimes appointments alone take months, you know, and the transition, a lot goes into the transition process and all that. The NDC told us they were going to give us a prosperous economy to create jobs. As a young person, that is the angle I'm going to do the assessment from. You know, they have done well as far as the micro indicators are concerned. And I think that is largely because they have not spent too much. You know, so there's less money supply
monies have been released
in the
for
system.
contractors.
Yes, but if you look at when the monies were released, it was just the December period. You know, until the minister released some monies for some contractors in December, the only contractor who had been paid was Maripoma, who is working on the Nsawam of Ankoro. That was 800 million out of the 13.8 billion that they budgeted for Big Push. If Honorable can help me with what percentage of the 13.8 billion that went into the packets of contractors, because that was the budget they did. So you compare budget with the actual spend, and then you realize that the government is not spending. You know, so even when it comes to the fiscal discipline, even though they've done well with inflation, exchange rates, bank interest rate and all that, and which is also very normal reforms. Mels Mahama came in and then post-credit crunch of the Kufuor administration 2007. You remember we had some economic issues, global economic issues, 2007, 2008. Mels also got us some stability. Mahama had issues in 2016. Akufo-Addo gave us stability in 2017. You know, and we are enjoying same in 2025. So if you look at the pattern, it is nothing new or strange. You know, what matters is being able to sustain it. I mean, if you look at the MPP government, most of the good macro indicators were sustained for as long as 6 years, until post 2022 when DDEP, you know, came in and then we started having the issues. So we had 6 long years. The first 4 years, we had very good macroeconomic indicators. So if you are doing these figures in your first year, it is quite normal. Now let me go back to the economic analysis. If you look at the fiscal side, you know, they are not spending. Fiscal discipline is just not achieving your targets by way of the indicators you set yourself. But if you say you are going to spend, so if you say you are going to spend
and you don't do it,
yes, it's indiscipline. But we are just looking at one side.
If you say you're going to spend and you don't, that
it's
means
indiscipline.
It's indiscipline.
Yes. Yes, because the fiscal formula, if you go to business school, they will tell you it is the revenue generation and then the expenditure. Right. So in terms of the revenue, I think they did quite well, even though they couldn't achieve the full target because of the removal of some handles like yield levy and others. But they got a bit close, so we'll give that to them. But when it comes to the expenditure side, they underspent. You understand? So you cannot tell me you are practicing or observing fiscal discipline and then what you
So your argument here is that, yes, you can allocate the funds,
and then you will not
but
spend.
as to whether to implement it or use that funds is another issue.
And because I said I'm a young person, I'm looking at the job creation and the interventions which will spur growth and then create jobs for the young people of Ghana. They gave us a long list of interventions. The budget was ready in November. So it means throughout the 12-month period, the major agriculture policy to empower the youth was not implemented. Because if you did a pilot in November, how much of that 1.5 billion was released? Less than 20% of that amount was released. You know, they budgeted 51 million for the Women's Development Bank. None was released at all. So in terms of the empowerment of our young ladies and our women, you know, by way of microcredit and startup packs and other things to help them scale their businesses and start. That also didn't happen. You know, under the Digital Jobs Initiative too, they promised us, the young people of Ghana, 1 million codes program. And that was barely started. They just started training of a few. If you tell me you are going to train 1 million young people in coding in 4 years, if you do the prorating, I expect that in the first year at least, you start preparatory work towards training 250,000, which is a quarter of the number, because the president has 4 years in his term. You know, how many young people did they train? None. They have started preparatory work for that, but they couldn't train much. You know, they spoke about the National Apprenticeship Program. They budgeted 300 million cities for the National Apprenticeship Program, and released only 21. How many young people can the National Youth Authority train with 21 million cities under the National Apprenticeship Program? So as a young person, if I'm rating you on apprenticeship, and you release 21 out of 30 million, I know it can't do much. And this is for one fiscal year, one financial year. It's not for the 4-year period. It means that you failed. That is why overall I gave the 4%. Ajumara, same. They budgeted for 100 million, and they did appropriation for they were able to release only 34.5 million. And even that, they just did preparatory training of trainers and all that. They will not be able to train a full cohort to give them startup packs to start their programs in the Ajumara program. So these are just youth interventions. If we had time, I would have gone through all the sectors, sector by sector, agri, health, all the things they stated in their manifesto, do the prorating, engage according to the key performance areas of that manifesto promise. So that is it with the employment.
So obviously you doubt the over 60% rating coming from global
I don't doubt it. It is normal. When you get to the street, you can get that 67% rating because of the honeymoon period. People don't expect much from the government. Musa Damka himself has come out from government. So you are entering second year, your third year, that is when the young people are going to hold you to it. That you said you were going to do automatic posting of teachers. You said you were going to do automatic posting of nurses. You are even unable to activate clearance that your predecessors left you. 6,000 clearance for nurses, you'll be able to pay just 1 month out of the 11 months that they make. It means there are fiscal constraints. It means there are financial issues. You understand? How are you going to do the 60,000 education sector recruitment that the Minister of Education promised for 2025? Honorable and his people, NDC MPs. Why? Because they didn't even open the portal.
How do you know that?
They have not opened the portal. We only see appointment letters being posted on social media. Honorable, how many did you get? Did you get 10 or 15 or 20? They have just given a few to the NDC appointees. Yes. But for the past 8 years that we were in power, anytime teachers have recruited, we have seen it on GES portals, that the portal for recruitment has been opened and every young person has been able to apply. But this time around, we have not seen that.
Okay.
You understand? It means a manifesto. Our fiscal policy shall be anchored on a 24-hour economic strategy to enhance productivity, maximize production, create sustainable jobs, and transform Ghana into an import substitution and export-led economy. This is a very heavy statement. What does it have? It has enhancing productivity. 1, it has maximizing production. It has creating sustainable jobs. It has transforming the economy into an import substitution economy so that we will stop importation of some of the basic items that we import. So if this 24-hour economy does not happen, it means you are not going to get production, you are not going to get the jobs, sustainable jobs, and you are not going to get the export and the import substitution target that we set for ourselves is not going to be achieved. And what did they do under their 24-hour economy? Mr. Gusitano has told us they need about $4 billion to implement it. And Honorable Ayarega, the majority leader, will tell us, you guys don't even understand the 24-hour economy. We've not come to allocate some funds for the 24-hour economy. We are just going to partner with the private sector to do it. So what is the cost of the incentives that we are going to give the people? You have to cost it. I mean, when we said we were going to do free SHS program pre-2017, we did a costing. And we knew exactly how much it was going to cost. So as soon as we came into power in 2017, we went to the petroleum funds.
That was in 2000.
No, we did it. We did it right from. Thank you.
In 2008.
Yes,
that was
we have always had it.
Subsequently,
We have. No, I'm saying that the policy was proposed in 2008.
Yes, 2008.
I posted that costing structure in 2012 for instance during the campaign. So for Dr. Couture say, and I applaud the government for what they did on the gold board.
But what then would you describe the 4 billion? What is it then?
No, because what I'm saying is that
costing?
no. What I'm saying is that because they have not planned it well, even the majority leader, who is the head of government business, it doesn't even understand the policy because he is saying something different from what the director of the policy is saying. It means it wasn't well planned.
I think Gusitano also talked about the private sector involvement.
Yes, but you still need a cost to set up a lot of things. That is, when I finish, you understand me. If you look at PMMC, for instance, because the structures were there, Gold Board didn't do too much in setting up because they have offices, regional offices. It had been turned into a loss-making company in 2016 to a profit-making. They made the profit in opposition because they proposed it in the 2020 manifesto.
Who's written the act? The NDC?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So as soon as they came into the power, the very first quarter, they were able to take it to Parliament for it to be passed, assented by the President and all that. That is an example of how you prepare for your flagship program. You don't come into power and start stakeholders engagement because the NDC had access to the industrialists, the Ghana, the TUC, and the industrialists and all those people who will be participants in the 24-hour economy. And there is a model. We had the Ghana Beyond Aid plan. And their own technical director, Dr. Tio Champon, put the Ghana Beyond Aid plan and what they have of the 24-hour economy so far in AI, and they had 67% similarities. It means both MPP and NDC are thinking the same. Import substitution, local production, providing incentives to the private sector, import exemptions, reduction of electricity for those who sign up for the 24-hour economy and all that. So all they should have done was to have built on the setup that we did at the Ministry of Trade for the 1G1F, which produced 170 companies. Because the characteristics are the same. You are going to provide incentives for the private sector. NDCJ decided to call it 24-hour economy. What we disagreed with them was that it is driven by demand. So if Kina Pharma, for instance, is producing something and there's no demand for it, they cannot go and do trade shifts just because you are saying...
And the very argument concerning
you are providing
that you can also create demand.
Yes, but that is the plan
that's another argument.
That is the plan we have not seen. How are they going to create a demand? So you have done well on the macro side, but when it comes to job creation, zero. When it comes to your industrialization plan, zero. When it comes to your sustainable job creation, zero. Infrastructure too, you have not done too well, because even though you have good plans for railways, you have good plans for rural telephony, you have good plans for roads under your big push, a long list and all that, you didn't spend much.
Okay.
And then this didn't tell us that when they come into power in the first year, they will give us a plan and tell us that this is what we are going to do, and that we will go into first year or second year in the second year. So as far as I am concerned, as a politician in the space, as a young activist who has managed a youth agency before, these are the metrics I am using. The opportunities for the young people.
Would it then be fair to say that? Would it then be fair to say that when they start spending, it's
and still achieve single-digit inflation, the interest rate, because MPP, we were all over the place. You know, almost every, aside our flagship programs, there is no single sector that we didn't put a lot of funds to. And there was an effect.
But you acknowledge that there have been
you understand?
You acknowledge that there have been some spending in the energy sector.
Of course, they can't decide not to spend at all in the whole financial year. But I'm gauging them according to what they promised. I've stated figures here. 300, you spend 30. 100, you spend 20. It is fair to assess them based on their own key performance indicators that they set for themselves in their budget. And let me conclude by responding
quickly.
Yes, some of the things Honorable said. You know, the Wontumi issue, he has brought up videos showing his farms. This is a collateralized facility. The asset and the person has not paid up. You just take over the collateral. What is the issue? Is this the work of the Attorney General? Doesn't he have more important things to do? Like
that solves the problem.
Exactly. Exactly. What is wrong with a businessman going for loan? There's nothing wrong with it. You see, and it's a bank licensed by the Bank of Ghana, so the same rules apply. You see, the security issues has gotten worse. Our security ranking has moved from, I think, 3rd in West Africa to 5th or 7th in West Africa.
How?
Oh yes. Security ranking. It's the global security. How? Oh, the usual one which comes.
Really?
When the next person takes over, I will give you the. It has deteriorated.
So Burkina Faso is doing better than us.
Yes, it has deteriorated.
Oh, really?
No, the annual global, the regular security ranking.
You know what? When
I will look for it
for you. Look for that data, yes.
He spoke about nurses and teachers recruitment. They've not procured any new clearance. The clearance that is in effect now is what MPP gave to them through the transition. And usually the clearance would expire. So what the transition does is to renew the yes, but when we also came in 2017,
expired one.
We also renewed the expired one. But that is not but that is not NDC clearance. You have to give them clearance.
Let's make some progress here. I'm going to invite Nanaya to come in. Nanaya is going to that's Dr. Nanaya Mwekuyabwa. He'll be focusing on the foreign policy and issues concerning the foreign missions and what the foreign affairs has worked on so far. Nanaya Mwekuyabwa is an international relations expert. If you go to the foreign ministry's page, there's this list of, I'll call it, to quote, summary of 2025 achievements by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and under the Mahama administration, just to list a few of them. It says that enhance Ghana's image and structure in the pursuit of our strategic national interest, boldly defend and safeguard the rights and dignity of Ghana everywhere in the world, formulate and then launch novel key performance indicators for Ghana's diplomatic envoys. And these are some of the things that, according to the Foreign Affairs Ministry, have been achieved, about 35 of them. So, now, let's look at foreign affairs and then the foreign policy of Ghana within this particular 1 year under this administration.
Well, good morning.
Sorry for calling it Dr. Nanaya Mwekuyabwa.
That's interference.
Yeah.
So good morning to you again and to the eminent panelists you've assembled here. It's a privilege to be part of this, the ultimate national interest. And so if you look at Ghana's 1992 constitution, if you read Article 40, it tells you that in the pursuit of Ghana's international relations, if you look at Clause A, the most important thing is the fact that Ghana must safeguard. Now, if you look at the past 1 year since the Mahama administration has been in power, and as an international relations expert, there are a few things that you can point to that, in my opinion, gives Ghana a global presence. We have always been a smaller state, but we have demonstrated what you call power without the atomic bomb, very popularized by Nkrumah. We've mostly punched above our weight, even though we haven't gotten that military and economic superiority that great power states have. And one of them that I would immediately...
Which some people describe as risky, though. We usually punching beyond our weight. Because some people describe as risky. Because
what I call strategic neutrality or strategic hedging, without necessarily tilting so much to one other power and then courting the displeasure of the other. We've done this since Nkrumah's time, since the Cold War. We were able to play both sides of the iron curtains to advantage. And I think that our leaders have been very pragmatic and knowledgeable of this strategy, and we've dealt it this way from the 1960s right to this time. But one of the things that I can immediately point to, right, is what you call international solidarity and humanitarian assistance, which Ghana has been known for a very long time. In fact, one of the reasons why, not the reasons why, that gave succor or that gave tacit support to Nkrumah's overthrow was his commitment to global solidarity and international peace. If you'd recall, he was on his way to Vietnam, in Peking, of decolonization on the African continent. We've always been there, we've done that right to the presidency of former of Blessed Mary, Jerry John Rawlings, to Professor Tamils, to the past government of Ghana, President Akufo-Addo's government. We have committed resources, significant amount of resources, into helping countries at times when they needed our help, even though we don't have as much to go around.
Yes, but so the argument again there also is at what expense, at whose expense? Like you said, even though we don't have that much.
But the point is that this is real politics. This is global diplomacy. You need a global presence to be sometimes influential in diplomatic, arena. And there was that mudslide in Sierra Leone. Before him, President Mill did the same, in the help towards Haiti. We have that line, that trajectory where we didn't have much to give, but we are not always at the begging call, begging for resources, but we are able to share what we have. It gives us global presence. It gives us, diplomatic relevance, and it's important as a small state. We don't have the like I said, the economic superiority and the military superiority. What we bring to board is some kind of soft power of a sort. And so I was happy when we saw the Ghanaian government commit, I think the 48th Regiment of Ghana's, military to help. It's an international solidarity towards Jamaica. It's an established tradition that the Mahama administration was following. And it was not only in Jamaica. You would have said it is far beyond our reach. We supported Sudan. The Mahama administration committed, I think, 14 metric tons of cocoa product to Palestine's tradition of demonstrating our support.
Palestine was a bit...
Then, as an international relations expert, there is this idea by Hans Mogonta that there is no morality in politics.
Yes.
But we can't also cloud our national interest with our inability, right, to speak truth sometimes to power. Sometimes it's always better to speak with other powerful states are so important, for us to be raptured in terms of relationship with the kind of statements sometimes we issue. The other levels of cooperation are important to these powers than the things we say sometimes. Look, let me give you an example. Sometimes the things we say against the 90s, it's not the things we say. The statement we issue come across as being very, very bold.
Yes.
And people have problems with the way international relations are done. One has been the realist school of international relations. One has been the idealist school of international relations. And so depending on where you stand, you'd say that Ghana has nothing to offer. And so the kind of bold statement, powerful states that be. But you must understand that realism is a definition and description of how international relations is done. It doesn't offer solutions to it. There are other means to which we may not have the resources, but it is in our interest to uphold a liberal international order and a multilateral system, so that even if you don't speak against something, at the end of the day, you never know what happens. Tomorrow, you might be at the receiving stick of this powerful state. Ghana's dealing with our international partners, we should be guided by support for international law, but also in consistency with Ghana's what? National interests. To tell you, it has assumed a character of what you call Juskogen or peremptory norms. That means that these are rules that are untouchable, they are sacrosanct. You understand? And so when a country decides, and I understand it's a powerful state, it's a hegemonic, power, and so it does what you do. It was Thucydides who said that powerful states have the right to do what they can do. The weak ones must only suffer the consequence. And so I understand that what is in real politics is uncontested. But the point is that, look, it's a clear violation of international law, 51 of the UN Charter, in terms of what? Armed defense or armed attack. And then the other condition is found in Chapter 7 of the UN Charter, which says that it's not the situation. What the United States has done in Venezuela is not in any case in terms of armed defense. And for me, what even disappoints me is that, look, when George Bush and Dick Cheney were going into Iraq, they tried every means possible to tell us that it was in defense, weapon of mass destruction. The Trump administration hasn't shied away from that. They are not trying to even make it. They are not using any euphemism. They are telling you we are going there for oil.
But they've also raised some charges too. They've also, narcotics issues. Human rights issues.
When Marco Rubio, when Marco Rubio attempt and successful ones of regime change, and the end of it, popular scholars like John Aikenbury, Samuel Huntington, Fukuyama said that was the end of history. We are going to be, because you are seeing the
speaks, nobody dares challenge him, and there's a quote and unquote there's someone who is speaking bold towards that person. I hope you understand what I mean.
I understand what I'm saying, but look, I understand, but the stakes are also high.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example.
Yes.
I think that the U.S. government also knows the relevance that Ghana brings to their table. Because as it stands now, and this is probably, you understand, Trump has a strategy. He wants the apple.
Yeah.
And that is a strategy. Look, Ghana has been very transactional, and that is one of the achievements I will give to the Mahama administration.
Okay.
The fact that we were able to renegotiate the visa arrangement scheme that restored us to that 5 years, single entry, and the fact that we've been able to use. But the fact, I have my problems with the deportees that we accepted from the U.S. government. But we did it also in pursuit of our national. We were able to use that as a bargaining chip, and then we were able to rearrange. And I'm saying this to say that going forward, I think if you are going to be engaging the U.S. government, but I think that there are a number of issues I can talk about, apart from the humanitarian assistance, apart from the visa arrangement. I can also talk about foreign direct investment, right? That the Ghanaian government under the administration has been able to trigger. I think they are renegotiating the terms of investment in the country by removing the threshold on how much you must have to be diplomatic, sector.
The country's image.
Exactly. Now, I'm sure you are aware that ECOWAS has unanimously decided to bring forward President Mahama as the uncontested AU chairperson, coming up. So I think that by and large, I would only hope that we are conducting our national strategic hedging. We should be free to identify who we want to do business with without courting the displeasure. We don't want to be put in that street.
That's a fine line, though.
Yes, we must
That's a very fine line.
Exactly, we must be able to walk that line. But at the same time, I don't think that we should not be allowed, because based on Article 2, Paragraph 1 of the UN Charter, because we understand that the existence of the state is the basic assumption of international law, idealistically. Except that we also know that realistically, there are gradations in capabilities of states.
Okay.
So what Ghana does is not the same as what US does. So I think that we need to end then and taking cognizance of our national interest.
Also live on GTV. We are live on Facebook, which is Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. We're looking at President Mahama's 1 year after he was sworn into office to become our president. And we earlier picked the Thanksgiving service at the forecourt of the Jubilee House. That's the presidency there. And we are back in the studio here for discussion space on that. So far, you've heard from Musa Dankwa, who is Executive Director of the Global Info Analytics. You've also heard from the former Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Expert. He gave us that international feel. To hear from our political side and your assessments and your thoughts. I'm sure he's showing you that data, the security data.
Yeah.
Okay. And it corresponds what he said.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So what I would say is that, in fact, my assessment is, in fact, when we are assessing, this is just.
If the president is expecting the praise, we should also look at the other side too. So I think that's fair.
I think before coming, I decided, okay, in assessing the NDC, we have to look at the manifesto. Okay, the 2024 manifesto, and then it's a year. reduce hardships. They promised to ensure macroeconomic stability, restore fiscal and debt sustainability, restore and they said that to achieve this, they will do what? Scrap the following draconian taxes: e-levy, COVID levy, 10% levy on bet winnings, emissions levy, and then import duty on vehicles and equipment, right, imported. So basically, there are some others. So if you look at all this, I would say that 80% they have achieved what they decided that, I mean, given the opportunity, they'll be able to do this, because these things are very foundational, okay? Because for a developing economy, and especially looking at the economy that the MPP bequeathed to the NDC, we all agree, and Kofi here will agree with economy.
Yeah, it was a global issue.
Right. So
but you acknowledge that you did not.
Okay.
So
these are facts. Okay. So it means that the new government that is coming, the Mahama government, will have to do what? To begin to put down the foundation for a developing country. Okay. It is important that you look at your and all that. So if you are able to stabilize that, that will have effect on, I mean, the sustainability of the economic, this and that, you'll be doing that. And it will also help you in your, how do I call it? I mean, poverty reduction, okay? And then also, that is also very significant, because if you're not able to put down your fundamentals right, and there is any economic research, anything can happen, okay, from outside. It means if you are not strong, it means that it will hit you, and then you'll not be able to. And that is why, I mean, for the MPP, when they were facing, problems, they gave us the issue about the Ukraine war. They were talking about COVID and all that. So the questions we asked was, to mean that the economy was not resilient. It's because the fundamentals, there were problems with fundamentals. And I think that the vice president, who was an economist, said that if your fundamentals by stabilizing the CD and doing all those things, it means that for me, that is very, very significant. Okay,
but would you agree with Kofi that the test of that resilience of this foundation will be when the government starts spending?
Oh, but who says that they are not spending? Okay. And that's another. That is if we.
I'll come to you.
Where did they spend?
What about statutory payments that they are?
That is normal. Every government does that.
No, but it is part of the spending.
No.
It's part of the statutory
But they did a
ground
budget.
for them. I mean, so that if you build that solid,
Then why did they give those
you move
figures
on.
in their budget?
Kofi, let me have him just break down.
Within the first year, they should spend. I've not seen labor unions go into the streets asking that they have not been paid and all that. Statutory payment, they have been doing that.
Those ones are basic dogs.
So basically, no, they are basic, but they are very, very important.
Yeah.
When you are weak, sometimes when you are this, it becomes very difficult for you to pay. I mean, to make. I mean, to honor some of those things. Okay, right. So school feeding, for example, people. I mean, the free SHS. I mean, people say that when the NDC is voted into office, they will scrap it. They will not do that. They have done. I mean, they are doing what is necessary, right? And then, I mean, it is. We often say that, and it is true. If you look at, the past government, we before and all that. So the first year, I mean, you have some kind of, improvement and all that, but sustaining that. But if you look at the current situation in Ghana, even though we have experienced some of those things in the past, but if you look at, it's just because, within some 1-2 months or so, it will go back because that has been there.
No, they are still pumping.
But here,
they are still pumping.
Here we are.
This month
But
alone,
it is still pumping, and then it is also helping in so many ways.
How long can you pump?
No, listen.
Kofi,
What you are saying
no,
is that
let's leave it. We will have another stretch. So don't worry, Kofi.
Economists is telling us about, it's not intermediation, and then it has reduced. This is an achievement from 740 million billion Ghana cedis or something debt, and then I think that it is important that we commend the government for it. And the same way, if they also begin to mess up second year, third year, we'll be back here talking about it, Shabo, because the NDC, we want them to do their best, okay, so that every person, if the economy is doing well, every person will be happy, okay, because if you, in 2024, if you go to buy maybe the cooking oil, the big one, and it's like 1,001 or 1,002, and today you go to the market and you are buying at 700 Ghana cedis. Have we experienced that in the past? in terms of the reduction of some of these things.
Okay.
So it means that there is something that is significant. We must be honest about any scandal and all that. But in the previous, I think within 6 months, there was the PDS issue, and then there were several.
I mean, within 1 year, there have not been any scandal.
propaganda.
That so far,
What do we lose
But
under
usually,
PDS?
but usually such comments are made
Yes.
based on comparison to the past.
Yes.
But I also go like, well, let's not compare there. But that's how it's supposed to be.
That's a very good basis. Okay.
Okay.
That's a very
But
good
that's how
basis.
it's
You
supposed
should
to
know
be.
what was bequeathed or what we experienced, which is why people voted against this.
That's why
And
the
to see
approval rates are
the
good.
new things that people are adding, or the new things that the new government is introducing. It's very, very important. Okay. So basically, I think that we should not just leave that. And Transparency International is a corruption perception by
index,
the
yes.
2025, data is not yet out. Okay, for us to see, because when the last one when the NPP, I think it was about 42, which was very, 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 very bad. Okay, so basically, but unfortunately, that is not the. I'm sure the first quarter of the year will have that. Okay, but so looking at the circumstances, in my view, I think that they have been the gains that they have made. Okay, but looking at the circumstances, if you look at this NDC government led by the same Mahama who was voted out in 2016, they are mindful about, they know exactly what happened and what Ghanaians can do, in 2028. So I think that is also part of this, and that is also, defining how they organize or run the affairs of this country. Okay, so I believe that moving forward, that's what we are hoping, that they will continue to do the good things. In my view, I have always said that for this NDC government, they have a number of penalty kicks. All right? If they decide to miss the penalty kicks, that is their problem. But if they decide to score on all penalty kicks, then it means that 2028 will be a cool job for them. But this is just 1 year.
Okay.
And therefore, they have to continue to do well.
All right.
Right.
Okay. All right. Just quickly, a few minutes that we can wrap it up here. And this stretch, I'll start with Kofi. Then, Kofi, you acknowledged when he said that you did. Your previous administration, of which you were a member of, that you acknowledged, and you said that was due to certain global issues and all that. Now, with the figures we are seeing so far, now we've moved from 23.8% as of December 2024.
Yes.
And just this morning, from the Ghana Statistical Service, we are around 5.8% in terms of inflation. Ending the year 2025.
That is commendable.
We've seen the GDP growth too, we've seen the reserves too, and all that. If you've acknowledged that, yes, you did not leave the period administration with a boat.
My submission that they've done well with the macro indicators, which is the foundation, as Doc alluded to. But you can decide to focus on the macro indicators and not do the actual work which will spur growth to create jobs.
Okay.
And that was where I focus on. I don't think we should use the whole year to do the cleanup and not go into digging to sustain lives and all that. That is the issue I had with the posture of the government, because I saw that the finance ministry did well with the figures, but there was some spending inertia. That's okay, let's take our time. Their MDAs were complaining, their ministries, departments and agencies, the ministers, because most of them were not getting their allocations. And if the government continues to spend and we still have these beautiful figures, of course, when we come and sit here, what can we say?
You talk about
because the figures will be there. You see, but let me also end by saying that, George, the trajectory that we had from 2022, 23, 20, of course, we had, the crisis were at its peak in 2022.
Yes.
And then we started getting recovery in 2023. There were a lot of improvements in 2024. IMF predicted it. This was the IMF's take on our 2024 economy, even before the year ended. Ghana showed strong signs of recovery with falling inflation. Rising, if you remember, the inflation rose to 54%, yes. And it was halved. So if the government halved it by, of course, created by both local and external issues, if the inflation was halved in a year, then it presupposes that it would have come down further if even the same government was in power.
Oh, really?
It was in a downward trajectory.
That's hypothetical.
It was in a downward trajectory.
But that's hypothetical.
You see, the IMF predicted it because we are on an IMF program. And it's the same program that NDC is also running. You understand? Rising reserves. The reserves which have risen because we left 31 ounces of gold or so, and we've been able to get a lot of reserves from our Gold for Reserves program, which was proposed by the Vice President. What NDC has added is to monopolize it so that they can get more gold instead of it going to Indians and other people, which is also an addition to what we laid, the foundation we laid by proposing the Gold for Reserves program. Improved growth. Though continued reform...
But the Gold for Reserve programs, did it achieve that objective?
I think it started showing the signs.
It did?
Yes, it started showing the signs, because if you look at where we went to, by the time we were leaving Ovitas, the reserves were very high. We had 4 months of import cover. Yeah. The NDC has added, I think, some weeks more. Yes. I'm not too sure if it's 5 months now, but at least they've added something because of the Gold for Reserves program. Yes, but it was how do we call, satisfactory. Now, look at the growth figures. 2022, we had growth rate of 3.8. 23, we had 2.9. 24 rose to 5.7. And the government may not be able to do 5.7 this year because the projection is even 4.4.
And 25 is what?
That's the projection for 2025.
5.7.
Yes, they have not completed the last quarter yet, so we don't have the full figure for. We will get it this first quarter. So if we are not able to get the 2024 growth rate figure, which was the actual, which was 5.7, for instance, you cannot say the economy was that bad. The economy grew at a rate of 5. And that will also, reinforce the fact that the economy grew better in 2024 because the government did more spending in 2024. Of course, it's also an election year, so the government spent a lot on infrastructure nowadays than the government is spending in 2025. And the less you spend, the less you grow. The private sector, the services sector, ICT, mining, and those places will push us. But don't forget, government is the biggest spender. So if they continue with their spending, and be affected, and job creation and other value-added services will be affected.
For you, the expenditure you keep talking about is based on more of capital expenditure.
Not just capital expenditure, but to be stimulated by government spending. So if the money is into coding program, if you budget 200 million to train 100,000 youth, it doesn't go. It means that that money doesn't go. It's not going to happen. And unfortunately, the private sector intervention, which is supposed to spare the job creation, is the 24-hour economy, and that has also not taken off. I think they should start, that they can start giving. They should line up those who are ready and have signed up and give them that rate so that they can start enjoying it, to start employing more people. Because if you say you are waiting to get every framework set and then...
GDP expanded by 6.1% in the first quarter of 2025, up from
3 quarters.
Well, that figure is not yet
exactly.
out,
So if you find the average, you won't get the 5.7. We are still waiting for the 3rd quarter.
Okay.
So when the statistical service brings it, we can do the...
Okay, all right. Look, we're looking at moving forward and moving into the future. This year, Ghana is expected to exit the IMF program, which is in May. Some economists say that this is going to be the test period for us. The president has talked about it, that we're going to just paraphrase what he said, respectfully actually have a nice exit out of it. Are we prepared to handle issues our own way?
I think we've seen how the government and the president has managed the economy so far in terms of prudence, in terms of fiscal management of the economy. We have also seen that we've not spent. How many debts have? I don't think that is completely correct. Besides that, some programs, policies are such that you can implement them from the word go. Once you take over the helms of government, then you now look at the dynamics and see how to roll them out. You may even have to modify the plan that you have before you could roll it out. So a 24-hour economy, I don't see why we are hammering on it. What we need, Ghanaians need, is a better living condition, our stable CD, our stable economy, low interest rates.
But that's a promise.
Yes, no, I'm coming.
But that's a promise.
No, I know it's a promise, but I'm saying that if you come into the kitty and realize that the well that you thought had water is completely dry, you have to feed the well before. Hasn't our rating gone up? So if we had refused to solve our debts and use that money to employ people, where would our rating be? Would our inflation improve? Would our interest rate improve? That is what we are looking at. And besides that, people are diligently working on the 24-hour economy. I don't see why it's a big problem for them about employment. When you brought us planting for food and employment and never employ the people. But we are doing it. The government has so far trained some few people. You yourself have admitted it. They've trained some few people. And I'm happy it's admitting that the macroeconomic figures are good.
It means my assessment is honest.
No, it's honest. You are saying it's good. If it is good, something is making it good. So for me, if IMF is going, I think it's good, they go. Some of us, we don't believe in IMF giving us conditions on how to run our country. I think they are manipulating us too much. We've gone to IMF, I think, more than 16 times. And we always go back there. Why do we go back there? Because of corruption, because we don't do prudent management, because we don't do the right investment. If we are doing the right investment and other things, we don't need to go there. Look at gold bond. Gold bond, what has it done? They've been able to raise money for us, and you're saying that we are pumping money into the economy. That is why. No, we're not pumping money. If I want to import something from US, I give Ghana government CDs and take the reduce compared to the previous year, unless they are poor. It means that if we are pumping in money, Ghanaians are producing and increasing their incomes, and they are importing more goods from abroad, and they need dollars to import. And Gold Board is working hard to get those dollars for the Bank of Ghana. So it's not that government picks the money and gives to a company to go and chop. No, the company gives Ghana government CDs and takes dollars out to buy what? Goods. I have bought medical equipment recently, over 20-something thousand. I gave them CDs, and they gave me the dollars. If it is that Gold Board was not working for them to get the dollars, how were they going to get for me? So the slogan or the term government is pumping in money, let me tell Ghanaians, it's never true. Government is only meeting the demands of business people, a monetary policy, to get enough dollars reserved for them at even a lesser cost. So to me, let's applaud government. For the term being used, they are pumping money. We're not pumping money. We are using dollars prudently for business people to transact. If government refuses to give them the dollars to transact, their businesses will collapse. Okay. And we can't get goods in Ghana to work. So to me, I'm happy we are going to go out of IMF. And I think this is where we should demonstrate that we can really be beyond aid. I think they brought the slogan, but they were never able to implement it. We would not bring a slogan. We would not give them a slogan. We would work to prove to Ghanaians that we can live happily developing our country without much dependence on IMF to grow our economy. All right. That is what I'll say.
Miku, my next question is going to be on our missions and ambassadors too. But I'll start that with, last year when the president was going through the inauguration process, one leader came to Ghana. That's Burkina Faso. And we saw there, to use a better word, lack of a better word, excitement and other commentaries from other countries too. And then subsequently, Ghana's new special envoy to the Alliance of Sahel states too, yes. The president has also been talking about trying to get these people who have left the ECOWAS bloc also back on there. What, from now, the expected? Because Ghana always finds itself in the middle of all of these things that's happening.
Well, I think that it's interesting that you should ask that question. I think that they are our neighbors. We need them on a number of levels in terms of security and defense, even in terms of agriculture. We need them in a diverse, areas. And so when you have this special envoy, I think that it's a rapprochement approach. It's an attempt to bridge that gap between us and them. And I think that relations with them has not been the very best in the very past few years. And so I think I remember that the Burkinabés were spooked, especially when the past president was out there and basically tried to talk about how things are bad with them and Wagner groups in Russia. It's to bridge that gap because we need them on a number of levels. The very reason why our borders are not 100% safe, but the reason why we are able to do what you do with them on a number of levels, even if the ECOWAS is unable to reintegrate them back into the community.
It doesn't look like ECOWAS can do something to get them.
At this moment, I think it's very far-fetched. I think it's under the circumstance, it appears to be very, very difficult because the things they are doing now is basically trying
to bring them back.
Well, I want
based
to be,
on his goodwill.
I want to be very careful with my analysis here. I'll say under the circumstance, it appears to be very difficult. That is a good score for the current administration. We need to cooperate with them, even though they are not members of ECOWAS. And I think that the special envoy is. You recall that when the Nigerian military aircraft was seized.
Yes.
It took the intervention of Ghana, in fact,
Ghana,
for that, among other things, for that to release.
Yeah.
So what it means is that we have, the current administration has that very good rapport with, the AES. But even going forward, what I like to say to draw the curtains is that I think that, the current geopolitics plays in the lesson for us in disguise.
The blessing for Ghana.
For African countries in general, in disguise.
Yeah.
You know why?
Tell us.
What he is doing means to provide you, to spoon feed you.
Yeah.
So it is best you start stepping up.
Yeah.
And once you're able to step up, you have agency. Once you have agency, you do not become vulnerable and you do not become to the pawn of geopolitics lead into cooperation with US. Because when you have a powerful state unilaterally threaten to attack you with or without you, and you only come, if a country as powerful as Nigeria, right, was treated the way it was treated, then as smaller state, there's what we call Lilliputian strategy in international politics. We need to understand that we need agency, we need collective security, we need homegrown policy that will give us agencies. We don't have that now, but I think that we need to begin to look at how we are doing things otherwise. Look, I think that Trump president, if you look at what has been happening, and so we need homegrown policy, we need to take care of our destiny, we need to take our destiny into our own hands. Otherwise, look, I think things are not going to get any better with the Trump administration because he has a mandate.
Yes.
Africa is just a stage, but the political audience for Trump are the U.S. constituency. There is a domestic political constituency that Trump is thinking about.
But unfortunately, if you look at the ratings now, it's not favoring him because there's some bit of fear based on what has happened in Venezuela. So it's something that is really not favoring him.
Well, look at this. What he did in Nigeria, he said it was a present. By the oil, then he's talking about Venezuela. Look, these oil moguls were in Mar-a-Lago during his presidential, candidacy. And he promised them he was going to do something to satisfy them. And we know right now, Chevron and ExxonMobil are very happy and they are going to cash out from what is going on. So he must do everything. The immigration policies he's pursuing, he knows very well that it will come in very handy when he has to campaign in Senate. And what are we Ghanaians, what are we Nigerians, what are we Africans doing to ensure that we also live up to the mandate that we promise, our people? So I think that Trump presidency, as much as state in Ghana and Nigeria, from his government.
There's another school of thought that says that, the world is talking about green, green, green. The school of thought says that so far as Trump remains the president, the green conversation and what he's doing. So.
Yeah, I mean, as for he's called it a hoax. This is somebody who doesn't believe in climate change.
Yeah. Make some gains economically. Good. Yes, in there for us. Look, and wrapping up, you have the final word so that we can wrap it up.
And please, brother, he has said it is normal for first years, government in first year to be scoring this kind of grade. But it's also true that they are doing something that is worth. You only become complacent because everybody is saying you are doing well. Look, the devil gets to you at the apotheosis of your stage.
Yeah.
So you must always have that in mind that complacency is the recipe for mediocrity. They must understand that if somebody is scoring them 4/10, if I were them, it will be an encouragement for me that, look, I need to prove them wrong. So that means I need to do what? Double my effort.
But there's also the tendency to say that, but I know who's scoring me for. I know.
This is not to say I have never allowed myself to be swayed away that I was doing B. So that means I need to put in what? Effort.
It's a continuous improvement.
So when somebody scores you 4/10, if I were you, I would take it in good faith and double up my effort to avoid that complacency being a recipe for mediocrity.
Great.
That's what I have
They
to
need to
say.
give you a desk at the Jubilee House.
You continue to remind them. Even a pass, you don't give them even a pass.
All right. Doc, let me. Yes, the fellow was here.
Yeah, I think I agree with
Dr. Mreku. Yes.
And that is why I think that the unemployment issue, because day in, day out, economic, and if they do not, when they are in schools. So the expectation is that when they come out, at least they should fit somewhere and then manage their lives. So if they come out 1 year, 2 years, and then nothing is happening, and I think that will be, that is where some of the ratings that we are giving, 80, 78, will be coming down. To 4. Kofi came 4, and after his analysis, some of them said they were very good. And I think that if you aggregate everything, it will be around 6.
If not the good macro figures, they would have done 2.
We have a problem with our education system in Ghana. The type of people we churn out.
Okay.
We are training desk officers. We are not training people, technicians, going to employ them.
Factories for them.
So yeah,
Okay. Yes.
So I think that is very important. I think the government need to look at that because in their lives, and I think that it is one thing that they should look at it. So like he was talking about the at the 24-hour economy. People are saying that this employment and others. So I think that it is a good thing.
All right.
They need to look at that.
Some messages. The submission of the NPP man, that's Kofi, on the discussion panel. Anna News, watching or listening to us in Malam, says that great show and great insights. The current government has shown very, very well as compared to the previous governments. I don't see the reason why the NPP communicators still have the ego to challenge the performance of the current government. So they had all those ideas and they couldn't implement it. In fact, the former president's administration was the most worst off government in the history of Ghana's politics. But the other one was an
MPP Fuso. So one.
Okay. This one says that Kofi was doing cancer and the governments were bad managers of the economy. No wonder they succeeded in best year performance is the same as in normal is not true. In fact, the first year of Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia government, the cedi depreciated by 7%, 0.5%, and the cedi to dollar rate increased from 4 cedi. The Mahama government has performed better, and as well, economic indicators has improved, including the cedi appreciating by 40% since 1998. And this is coming from Kofi Kwatin. Okay, all right. We'll have to leave our conversation here, though. But Dr. Miracle, just a quick one. What do you make of the ambassadors so far, the ones that have been appointed to various missions across the country?
Well, I've had the opportunity to interact with a few of them because of the job that we do, and I can see that it's coming from a place of and for me, first off, let me commend the pursuit of diplomacy with dignity. What the Israeli government did to our people, and I think that the relevance of reducing conflict is not by shying away, but by portraying how expensive it can be. And so when you treat our people the way you treat us, as a people with dignity, we had every right to respond proportionately. And I think that it gave me some sense of pride as an international relations expert. Any other country worth its salt would have retaliated in a positive manner the way the government of Ghana did. I have seen the kind of appointment that have been made by this administration. The appointment, in my opinion, even the way we are course and deal with people that can do the job based on expertise and qualifications. Because it is becoming too much of job for the boys. And if you want a functioning government, one of them is its foreign policy coordinators. And if you have people that are there because of job for the boys and not expertise, look, it has implications for us as a people. So I think that I'm very pleased with the kind of appointment that have been made so far on the basis of merit to sit here, and then we'll talk about how bad things have been.
Yes. All right. Yes, Dr. Naba.
I cannot leave here without extending my greetings to my good people of Garu and wishing them a happy new year. And that I pray that this year they will bring more development for Garu, and they should pray for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the government to succeed. That is what I would do.
If you have some
greetings to the people.
I wish my boss, Dr. Bawumia, the best in the upcoming primaries on 31st. And hope he wins convincingly so that we will get the peace of mind at home to
What do you make of the various prophecies saying that he's not
prophecies? Most of them are fake.
Most of the prophecies are fake.
Most of them are fake. You know,
but the ones that are against him, the ones that are against him are fake.
The way some of our so-called men of God are behaving, it's cast doubts in some of these things, unfortunately, because somebody will say this based on his economic circumstances or because he wants to catch the eye of a candidate. And then tomorrow he will say another thing. They have to be consistent, you see. They want to take over Musa Dankwa's job. As a country, whether we are Christians or Muslims or traditionalists, I don't think we should entertain that because they want a special place in the political space to say that they are the ones who prayed for somebody to become president. So when you come, you should do this and that for them. And some pastors are better currently because their expectations were not met under President Akufo-Addo. Because according to them, they brought the man into power. Are you the one who voted across the country for him?
But they prayed.
Are they the only ones who prayed? We all prayed. So I think they should control the way they want to exert pressure on politicians. Our politicians respect and all these people. But it doesn't mean some so-called pastors should take advantage and manipulate the political system for their political gain. If you don't come and see me, you will not win. Are you the one representing the delegates?
Okay, all right. I thought you were going to greet in some constituency or something, but since you mentioned
Oh, for now, my constituency is the entire food soldiers of MP.
no, he understands why I'm asking that question.
They should continue the good work, but I'm not going there, unfortunately.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Yes.
Some people are greeting their constituencies. I would also want to extend greetings to the National College of Defense Studies,
Okay.
which is, department, yes. I'm a research fellow there. We are running a strategic leadership course, which is what we need for our country. And it's a military-run institution. So anybody that is interested, I just we want to use your...
No, I'll give you points for that.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much. And I've enjoyed talking to you. And have a good day. Today is Constitution Day. Focus had to start today after 10 because... So next week, we're going to start at 5 minutes past 9. Our usual time that we start. We're starting this year with this particular program. Thanks a lot for joining us. We hope that we're going to have a very good year together. We'll have a good program and pay your TV licenses. It's very important. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye.